What I have learned throughout my journey in Toastmasters, and specifically in the competitions, is that there's a specific judging criteria that a vast majority of people are working within, and it is in your best interest to make sure that you are hitting each and every one of the points that are on the judging sheet. In other words, you want to facilitate the judging process as much as possible. You also want to make the presentation you give as easy to critique as possible. All these judges are volunteers. What I want to share with you are some of the skills that I've learned, some of the key points, regardless of whether or not you choose to compete, but more so, what have I been able to take from those experiences in a way that is transferable and able to be utilized by any one of you, regardless of whether you're giving an evaluation, responding to a table of topics, or giving a speech. There is something I call the echo. When you speak into a cave, cavern, anything of the sort, whatever you say, a small amount of it is going to echo. The echo is what I refer to as the lasting impression or the singular phrase that any audience member walks away having heard. As an example, if you spoke for 7.5 minutes about any particular topic, imagine the audience member going home and their spouse or whoever asking, well, what was the speech about? The idea is for whatever your central foundation point was to be as similar as possible to what that person ends up transferring over. Because the most effective communication comes not from what it is that you want to say, but more so what you want them to come away having heard. And it is our lack of attention to that that not only leads to not being able to go further in a tournament, but I mean, even in a larger sense, it is the reason for marriages failing. It is the reason for qualified employees losing their jobs, because they thought what they said, what they did, was seen, acknowledged, understood, and heard. But there's always miscommunication. So one piece of advice I would say is start from the end and work backwards. What one phrase, what one sentence summarizes whatever point it is you're trying to get across? Focus on whatever that topic may be, that echo, and make sure that a vast majority of the words, whether it's the 2-minute response to a table topics question or a 10-minute speech that you're giving, as you are formulating all of this, as you are putting this presentation together, ask yourself, does this point, does this fact, does this piece of research, does this humor tie into the centralized point of what I'm trying to convey? Topic. Second thing I've learned, whatever the topic is of your speech needs to either be stated throughout your speech, not constantly, but intermittently. And if not specifically conveyed word for word, everything that you have that reinforces whatever points you bring up, whatever stories you narrate, need to be able to be connected to whatever the speech title is that you gave. It is your opportunity to give a name to essentially this life that you've created and are presenting to others. Make sure the topic is relevant, and make sure that the information within your speech ties in to that topic. Pause. Pauses are extremely effective. And sadly, we are so terrified that if at any point in time, whether in a presentation or a conversation, we are terrified that if we give silence, we will lose attention. So far often, we will end up saying, so, like, you know, because we're using those points to try and figure out what we're saying. Our mouth is outrunning our ability to formulate the words we're trying to say. Pause. As a presenter, as a stand-up comic, as just a conversational person, I can tell you, pauses are absolutely invaluable. If you said something funny, give the audience a moment. Give them permission to laugh. If you said something profound, give them a moment to absorb it all in. The human mind is very similar to a sponge, both literally and metaphorically. What you're giving them is water. Give them time to soak it all in, because if you keep dousing them with more statements, more facts, more information, they are not going to be able to retain it. If it was important enough to write, crucial enough to present, it's important enough to give time for them to hear it and to truly absorb it. Realize that there are two different ways that we communicate, two different forms. There's nonverbal and there's verbal. Nonverbal communication is how do you use the area? What is your body language? How often are you using facial expressions? You can say, and when she did that, I smiled. Or you could say, and when she did that. You are the narrator of this story. Don't tell me you laughed, show me you're laughing. Don't tell me you were happy, show those emotions. Bring us there as best as you can. Your voice generates from your face, they are looking here. Posture, demeanor. There is something to be said for the endorphins, the serotonin that is distributed throughout your body when you stand in what they commonly call the power pose. If you are here, it conveys a lack of comfort, a lack of confidence. If you stand, it shows that you feel confident, you feel passionate about whatever it is that you're saying and wherever it is that you're going. Your demeanor is the overall way in which you carry yourself. Do you seem frantic? Do you seem anxious? All of these are taking place without any word at all. We get into verbal communication, cadence, which essentially is how your words flow, whether you speak really fast or whether you tend to bring it up and down. You have tone. You have inflection, which is essentially the power behind, the speed of the fan that is pushing your voice, vocal variety. And you have conviction. So an example of conviction would be, it really bothers me when conviction is, it really bothers me when we are seeing in action the experiences that you are sharing, or we are seeing in real time you responding to something you've already created. You've seen this. The last tip I will tell all of you, no one is reading your speech as you give it. If you mess up, only you know. Convey confidence and comfort, because